it's golden. Living my life like it's golden. Living my life like it's golden. Golden. Living my life like it's 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 golden. Golden. I'm taking my own freedom, putting it in my song, singing loud and strong, grooving all day long.
This is gonna be recorded.
Hey guys!
We're trying something a little new.
There we
so
go.
Bear with us. We're out here at Old Soul Cafe in Oak Park, and trying something new.
We are on location.
Yeah.
Keisha and Tanisha, we're on location. You
Yeah.
guys ain't ready for this.
Yeah.
We're gonna show you some really cool things Sacramento has to offer
Right.
while we're doing our show.
Right.
And so today, where are we at?
Old Soul Cafe. Yeah, we're having our beautiful chai teas as
mocha?
well as, oh, she's having a mocha. I'm having chai tea. That's my drink. And we're out in Oak Park off Broadway in the beautiful area of Oak Park, historic Oak Park.
Historical part.
And
it's beautiful over here.
yeah, it's a beautiful day. The weather has cleared up really well. I'm gonna turn this music down a little bit. And we got a great show for you today. And gosh, it's just a nice location right now. To my left, to our left, there's a what's this gonna be, like a jewelry
Interesting.
display? They're selling jewelry out here. I'm gonna have to go over there and check out this jewelry.
We might show you guys, but I don't want to
Yeah.
mess up how we're situated right
Yeah.
now. We might have to show you.
Yeah,
because
this is
it's pretty
very
cool.
strategically placed right now.
It
So
really is, because we're using our phone right
Yeah.
now. Normally we have our laptop, but you know what?
Yes.
We're improvising today with Keisha and Tanisha.
Right.
You never know what you're gonna get
right, yes.
when you're dealing with us. You know, so we're gonna
We
bring
want to
everything.
keep it fresh all the time.
So this drink that I'm drinking right, okay, so we have a helicopter.
That's what you get in.
This is what you're gonna get.
Live outside.
I'm drinking this
Get whatever's going on.
mocha. It's a mocha with vanilla from Old Soul. It is my favorite coffee in Sacramento, hands down.
Awesome.
It's delicious.
Yeah, and mine is the chai tea, and they always do a little pretty leaf pattern, so I love that. So experience some Oak Park, historic Oak Park culture, y'all. Come on down here and enjoy the historic Oak Park area. It's really been turned around really nicely. You got a lot of nice restaurants down here, a lot of nice places to live off the grid. They've got a brewery around the corner down the street.
Brewery.
Just lots of things to do, just walking around and hanging out here. So today we're going to talk about debunking myths.
Mortgage and real estate myths. Now there's
Right.
a lot of misconceptions. There's a lot of things that people think are the case but are not the case at all, and
Right.
so we want to tackle some of the important ones that
Yeah.
we feel
Right.
that consumers need to understand
Right.
that are not true. So, you know, we're going to jump into that. And of course, we have some giveaways, of course. And of course, we're going to hit you with some trivia, so you need to pay attention as usual.
Yes.
What are we giving away today, Keisha?
So today we are giving away a $25 gift card from Olive Garden, if you can see that. And then we have some other gift cards, several $15 gift cards that are good for Red Lobster, Olive Garden, Longhorn Steakhouse, and I don't know where Bahama Breeze and Seasons 52 are, but gift cards for there as well.
Season 52, you
Yeah.
just spoke my language.
Oh, okay.
We're going to have to, you might see us at season
Broadcast
52.
from Season 52?
Yeah,
Okay,
you
what's
guys will
going on in
understand
Season 52?
Don't even get me started on season 52.
Oh.
Anybody that's been there, you know about their desserts.
Okay, I can't do too many sugars in case
They're
my
miniature,
trainer is
miniature.
watching.
They're
I don't
miniature.
do sugars.
They're this big,
Okay.
and they bring them to you in a little shot glass.
Oh.
Cute, right?
Okay, so that's a nice little cheap day
Little
type of
cheat
dessert.
day,
Okay, I could deal with
yes.
that. All right.
Yes.
Cool. Well, let's get started with some mortgage myths. So what types of things are you hearing? Let's talk about one that you have.
Absolutely,
A myth that you want to debunk.
for sure.
Miss Tanisha.
And for some of you who don't know who I am yet,
Right. Yeah.
I am Tanisha Broadway with Homebridge Financial Services. I'm a loan officer, and I've been for the last 12 years. And thank you and welcome. So I'll jump into just a couple of mortgage things that maybe some of you consumers.
Hi, Sunsarae.
Hey. Welcome. Thanks for joining. So one of the things I wanted to jump in real quick, I'll get into the payment, the mortgage payment. Okay, a lot of people may think that the principal and interest is all that you're paying on your mortgage payment when you're budgeting. If you say to yourself, for instance, I don't want to spend more than $1,500 a month on a mortgage payment. In consumers' mind, you may be thinking that's principal and interest, and that's what I'm paying, but there's more to your mortgage payment than just the principal and interest. So when you're budgeting for those things, you need to know that your mortgage payment does not just consist of principal and interest. It's principal's interest, and then there's taxes and insurance.
Right.
Sometimes there's HOAs. These are things that you have to consider, so then you might have to adjust how much house you're going to qualify for now.
That's true.
Because you were thinking that it was $1 amount, when really it's a lot more involved than just those two factors when it comes to your payment. So that's a myth that I wanted to debunk real quick.
That's a good one. That's a good one, because people think oftentimes that they're making one payment and it's all going towards the mortgage. But you're saying that mortgage is actually, that amount is broken up and going into different places.
Absolutely.
So it's going to the insurance, the interest, the principal, taxes,
maybe mortgage insurance. So there's other factors involved with that. So that's one I wanted to tackle.
Okay.
So tell us something on the real estate side that's a myth that needs to be debunked.
Well, here's a myth that I'd like to debunk, and it just chaps my hide every time if I get one more seller come to me and tell me how much Zillow said their house was worth. These Zillow Zestimates. So the Zillow Zestimate, you first need to understand that Zillow is getting these estimates from the general public. So they're taking information that people are just putting in and saying, oh yeah, I've got this going on in my house, I've got that going on in my house. They're just trusting what other people are saying. In addition, they no longer have a reciprocated agreement with the real estate industry as a whole to have current information. So here's how I think of the Zillow Zestimate. It's kind of like the same thing as if you were going to have a surgery, or if you go to a doctor online and that doctor diagnoses you online and tells you that you have a debilitating disease, but they never actually saw you physically in person.
Right.
But they're getting ready to diagnose you, tell you that you're dying of cancer, but they never even saw you. So that's the same way I feel about a Zestimate, a Zillow estimate. Zillow has not come and knocked on your door and asked to see the inside of your house, to look and see what you have, what amenities you have, what things are going on in your house. And they do a blanketed diagnosis, for lack of a better word. If there is a commercial property across the street, or not even a commercial property, it could be a residential home right across the street from your home. But if that residential street is a major road, or if it's an area where a different builder was building and the homes are valued differently, whatever that home across the street sold at, it's going to have an impact on your house. Zillow can't tell the difference. So stop going to your real estate professionals telling them that Zillow told you your house was worth $1 million.
Wrong.
Chances are it is wrong. And you need a real estate professional to go into your property and assess property properly and look at the things that are the amenities and then the downfalls, and make those assessment adjustments, because that's the same thing that appraisers do. So that's my little spiel about the Zestimate.
That's huge, Keisha. And you know what? I hear Zillow all the time on my side. And it's tough to try to tell the person that that's inaccurate, because they go online and what do most people think? They think that if they find it online, it's real.
If it's online, it's true. But I'm here to tell you today, if it's online doesn't mean it's true.
No, it does not. So do your homework. Get an agent.
Get a real live diagnosis. The same way you would get a real live diagnosis if you were experiencing some kind of illness or anything that you would need a real person face-to-face for. You want to do the same thing for your house. Zillow is okay to go in and get some base information to see what things are out there, but you can't rely on it as data that you can that you can list your house by.
Absolutely.
There has to be more work done. That's all I'm saying.
Great point, Keisha, and that actually kind of segues into something that I wasn't going to touch on my notes, but I am going to touch on it because it makes the most sense. And we talked about this just a little bit last week, but I'm going to bring it up again. Your credit score, your FICO score, okay? Same thing. You think that you can go out on these websites and get your FICO score, and you think that that's the FICO score that you know that you have, and that's what a lender should base your approval on. But I'm telling you right now, that's not what we're going to base it on.
Okay.
It's not accurate. So I have lots of clients all the time telling me they went to Credit Karma or myfico.com and they're like, oh, I have a 700 score. And I'm like, oh, you do? Okay, so you've had your credit pulled by a lender. And they're like, no, I went to my FICO. And I'm like, okay, we have this challenge. And so then that conversation is not the best. So that's a myth. The FICO scores that are provided to you by those third-party companies are not what we use as lenders to determine eligibility. So do not use those FICOs as the gospel. They're not. But
good information.
The one that I wanted to get into that I do have notes on is pre-qual versus pre-approval. So you guys got to understand out there, there's a big difference between getting pre-qualified and pre-approved. And so there's a misconception that you think that if you are getting pre-qualified, it's ironclad like a pre-approval, and it's not. A pre-qualification is very generic. It's you just telling me information, and based off of the information you tell me, we can kind of come up with an idea of what you possibly could get qualified for.
Not a thorough search.
Not a thorough search. A pre-approval requires having your credit pulled. It requires getting ran through a system that we use in the mortgage world, which will give us it's a tool that we use, which will spit out a approved eligible. It's called a DU, and I don't really need to get into all the details of that, but it's a system that we use in addition to pulling your credit, looking at all your income, thoroughly doing a breakdown, and even sometimes submitting your information to an actual underwriter for a fully qualified loan.
Right.
That's when you're fully pre-approved. That's what we recommend that you get is officially pre-approved, not pre-qual. A pre-qual is okay. That's the initial step.
So pre-qual is more just like a verbal conversation and me taking you at your word and trusting that what you said is true.
That's exactly
then
what
I
it is.
spit out this document.
Exactly.
But a pre-approval means I've had my hands on the evidence as your lender, and I'm submitting it, and I'm reviewing it, and I'm actually confirming that what you say
Absolutely.
is true.
Absolutely.
That's good.
So guys, pre-qual versus pre-approval. Pre-qual is okay. That's the initial start, but a pre-approval, that's the ironclad thing. That's stamp of approval. We can move forward and look for some houses.
Awesome. So that actually is a good segue into my next. I think every time we segue or whatever we talk about, it's going to have something to do with the other thing, because we're talking about real estate mortgages. Okay.
With Keisha and Tanisha.
Keisha and Tanisha. There we go. Real talk. So one of the myths that I wanted to debunk today is a really tough subject, because culturally, in the African American community, you hear a lot about lease options. And I know quite a few agents who promote it, and if it is something that you want to do or something that agent wants to do, that's up to you. I personally don't encourage them. I personally don't promote them. And here's why. There's 3 reasons why. Over the years, I've had many people come to me after the fact and ask for my assistance to help them get out of lease option agreements, or that they had turned sour. And it usually was because the seller had created or structured the lease option in a way that would benefit them and would be harmful to the buyer. So that's number one. Lease options are usually structured only to benefit the seller, number one. So I don't like them for that reason. Number 2, it takes away your option. You only get to choose the houses or a house that is available for the lease option. And the whole idea of going into home ownership is one of the luxuries of being able to go out and search for your own home. You get to look at hundreds of houses, not hundreds, we ain't looking at hundreds of houses, but you get to look at a handful of houses that are your choice. You can look at hundreds online, but when you actually go out, you're looking at lots of houses because you're trying to find a home that fits and suits you, a home that you love, that when you walk through the front door, you're like, and so with a lease option, you don't get to do that, because you got to buy the house that they say you got to buy that qualifies for this lease option thing. Second reason I don't like it. Third reason I don't like lease option is because at the end of the day, when you get ready to exercise that lease option, guess what? You still got to pre-qualify for a mortgage. And wasn't that the whole reason you were going into a lease option agreement in the first place, because you weren't credit worthy or you weren't quite ready somehow financially. So you've just spent all of this extra money to try to seal up this home that you want, that you had to be forced into buying because you couldn't get to choose. And at the end of the day, when it's all over, you still got to qualify for the loan. So you still got to work on your credit. You still got to do all of the things necessary to qualify for a loan. So why go lease option? Why not spend that time and that money, that extra money that you're paying toward the lease option? Instead of taking 2 or 3 years to do a lease option, take 1 year, take that extra money and pay down your credit debt.
Absolutely.
To work on getting yourself credit worthy in a shorter amount of time so that you can buy the home that you want at a rate that's going to get you the best mortgage out there, versus being stuck into a lease option agreement that has the potential of being disastrous.
It's a great option for a seller.
Yeah, it's wonderful for the seller.
Yeah.
But if you're a buyer, you've been warned. Look, I'm just going to drink my tea.
So the last one that I'll jump into, and then we can jump into some trivia.
Yeah.
Real quick, I want to talk about I guess the myth of you're only going to be able to get a good loan or a good price or a good deal if you put down 20%. And while putting down more money on a home has its advantages for sure, keep in mind that you can still put down way less than that and still have a phenomenal loan with wonderful options. FHA loans are phenomenal, and you can put down as little as 3.5% and still end up in a great deal. And in fact, in my opinion, you can end up in a better deal. So don't think that you have to save a bunch of money to get into a home. There's down payment assistance options out there that are available to you that they're not offering you 20% down, they're offering you up to 5% down.
Right.
On a grant, money that you don't have to pay back.
Right.
Now, of course, putting down 20% will help you avoid some of the things that come along with putting down less than 20%. But at the end of the day, you're not going to get hit with a terrible rate, and you're not going to have a faulty deal just because you're putting less than 20% down.
Right.
And then with credit situations too, if you don't have the best credit, you're still able to take advantage of putting down a lower down payment and still end up in having a great loan. So I just want to let you know that don't worry about trying to come up with 20% down.
Yeah.
You don't have to spend a whole year or 2 years trying to save that up. If you want to, you can, but there's still opportunity out there for you to put down way less than that and still get into a great deal.
Right. And I think I read a statistic somewhere.
There's something flying outside.
We're live.
Elements.
I read a statistic somewhere that actually said over 70% of mortgage holders in the U.S. actually have FHA loans. So you would not be in the boat alone.
No.
The majority of people who own a home went the route of FHA, and that means less than 20% down, somewhere around 3.5% or even less than that, depending on if they attached a down payment assistance program to it, which is also available. That was a bus.
You heard that.
So you're saying a helicopter?
There's a bus. I just got attacked by some critter. I don't know.
Birds. We're live.
We're out here live. We're doing it.
Old Soul Cafe.
Let's jump into a question. Trivia?
Yes, trivia time. Okay.
I'll jump in. I'll do mine.
Sure.
Okay. First question. Let's go back to that mortgage payment. Other than the principal and interest, which some people may think is only associated with the mortgage payment, what are two other parts of a mortgage payment in addition to principal and interest that could be part of your mortgage payment?
Okay.
That's going to be more than just those two. So there's other things that I talked about earlier.
Okay,
so
right.
Other than the principal and the interest, what other things can be attached to your mortgage payment?
Okay. Has anything changed on student loans?
Unfortunately,
taxes and insurance.
Quick.
Sunsarae, she was Johnny on the spot.
Johnny on the spot. What does she want
Tell her
today?
what she's won. You have won. Well, since you did it so fast, should we go here? Should we go here? Okay.
We just go bigger.
Since you did it so fast, we are going to congratulate you with the $25 Olive Garden gift card. Yay! Sunsarae! So we will get that out into the mail to you.
Winner, chicken
dinner at the Olive Garden.
Someone asked Sunsarae, she asked a question on student loans. No changes yet on student loans. Unfortunately, if there is, and I won't get too much into this because it's complicated or there's a lot involved, but I will say if you have student loans and they are deferred, I still have to make a payment for that deferred amount.
Right.
They're not going to be able to just exclude it from the liabilities, unfortunately, right now.
So you need to know what that payment is going to be,
payment is.
even though it's deferred.
Correct.
And you guys take that into consideration.
We will, and there's a couple of different programs where we can go to where I can look at the actual payment on your credit report if it's reporting. But if there's no payment reporting at all, I have to get some sort of documentation saying there's a payment. If that's not there, then I actually have to create a payment based off of 1% of the full balance of your student loans, which for some people could be astronomical.
A lot of money.
Yeah, so it's a challenge, but if you have student loans and if you're looking to buy Sunsarae, we can definitely talk about that and break that down. So
yeah.
Next trigger.
So I would say keep an eye out on those bills and legislation and things that are trying to come down the pipeline to assist. I'll just say assist with student debt, because it's a huge issue.
Hopefully that'll be something they'll tackle sooner than later, but it is a challenge, unfortunately, for a lot of people out there that have done the right thing, went to school, and now you got this big bill that you have to deal with, and unfortunately in the mortgage industry we're not looking at it deferred anymore.
Right.
You know, we got to count it against us.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Well, thank you for that question, and
Appreciate
Sunsarae, thank you for that answer. So another question, trivia. Let's see. I thought I wrote it down. Oh. I don't want to make this too difficult because my talk about lease options was kind of long.
Sure.
Can you tell me just one of the reasons I am against lease options?
Just one.
Just one. Because I gave 3. If you can tell me all 3, that would be great. But if you can tell me one, you'll win. Were they too difficult? Yeah.
No, I mean, you have a lot of great points. I mean, there's a lot in that.
Okay.
Somebody can pull something from that
One reason that I was against or am against lease options, and I'm gonna sip on my tea, benefits the seller. Congratulations, that's my auntie Rosie.
Winner.
Chicken dinner at Red Lobster or Olive Garden or Longhorn Steakhouse.
Or Seasons 52.
With the mini dessert cups. Yay! Congratulations, auntie. All right. Well, do we want to keep going, or are we?
I think that might. Is that a wrap?
That we should wrap it up.
So much fun talking to you guys.
Mainly because her phone is getting ready to die.
You know,
my phone is gonna die. We're outside. We're just testing this whole live thing outside, and we're glad that you guys could join us. This is Keisha and Tanisha with Real Talk Live on Facebook. Signing out. Until next time, stay tagged in and tuned. We'll see you.
We'll see ya.
Bye-bye.
Bye.